Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr for Simon Says Stamp, and today we have some easy peasy lemon squeezy cards featuring brand new products from the Simon Says Stamp Dream Big release. We're going to be stenciling some backgrounds and then adding some die cut lemons and then stamped and die cut greetings. All three cards are the same with the exception of just switching up the greetings on each card. We're going to start with this new layering stencil set from Simon Says Stamp. I'm using the Tonic Magnetic Mat to hold my stencil in place, and I am using the Celery, LIMELICIOUS, and PEARFECTION inks to create my background design. I'm going to do this for all three backgrounds. My background panels measure 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. To create my background, I am simply going to place the stencil down one direction and then rotate the stencil until I have stenciled all 4 sides of this. To me, it really looks like a quilt block. I'm a quilter, and so I kind of approached it that way. I am using these 3 different colors of ink for all of the sections. So for the first one, I really went with, I want to say LIMELICIOUS first. Either LIMELICIOUS or, that doesn't seem like Celery, so I'm pretty sure it's LIMELICIOUS. And then I went the other 2 directions with my lighter color of ink. Yes, it was LIMELICIOUS. And then I went in with Celery. So that is the first way I stenciled it. I'm going to do it a little different the next 2 backgrounds, but it's all going to end up with the same colors. You can see that it's super easy to line up. And there are 3 stencils in this set. I am only using 2. So there's the entire stencil design, so I think it would be amazing as well, kind of used on its own, or you can use the other 2 stencils that I'm using here today to build your background. You can leave the center off if you wanted to, but I'm going to take PEARFECTION ink and I'm going to ink up that small little diamond in the center. I'm not taking the ink all the way out to the edge of my panel either. This gives it kind of that faded look all the way around the edge, which I personally love. Kind of gives it a little bit more imperfection. So there is our first background. Let's go ahead and grab another 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch panel, and I'm going to do the same thing basically again, but this time I am going to approach it a little different. So let me clean off a little bit of the ink off my blending brush, and starting with Celery, we're going to ink up the first layer. Again, not taking the ink all the way to the edge of the panel, and then we're going to just shift it a 1/4 turn. Line it up. We're going to use the magnets to hold it in place, and then I'm going to switch to LIMELICIOUS. If you wanted to do a different color for all 4 sides, which I think would be stunning, you could definitely do that. I would recommend cleaning your stencil, giving a good wipe in between each color change. Then we're going to go back to LIMELICIOUS. Nope, I lied. We're going with PEARFECTION. And then we'll go back to LIMELICIOUS for the last one. Look how beautiful this background is looking. So basically the same way to create our background. It just gives it a little bit different look, I guess, as far as the ink colors. And again, you could definitely mix and match this. I really wanted one color for the background so that the lemons really stand out against it. So as I mentioned, I will stencil the 3rd background just like this. Lots of great ways to use this new stencil set. I'm going to set these aside, and off camera, I went ahead and die cut all of the pieces I need for my cards. For each card, I need 4 lemons, 3 leaves, a stem, and the flower. So that's going to require me die cutting more than just one of each from the design. Now you really could get away with just 6 lemons instead of 12. However, I am going to rotate my lemon, the second lemon, and place it back behind the first to give it that layering, since it does die cut all of the little spots and I don't really want the green from the background to show through. Another way to do this would just simply be to place a piece of white cardstock back behind your lemon. You could do that very easily as well. I am using Lemonade and CITRINE inks from Simon Says Stamp, as well as the Simon Says Stamp blending brushes to add my color. I'm doing all of the Lemonade pieces first, and then we're going to go in with the CITRINE for our layering. These are the most perfect colors for lemons. Once the inks dry, they will absorb into the cardstock, smooth out, and you'll be able to really get that beautiful lemon look. I'm using the Waffle Flower stencil mat to kind of contain my ink, I guess I want to say. Plus, you can see that I'm not having to hold down the die cuts really to add the ink. Because of the stencil mat, what it's made out of, I find it kind of grips the cardstock, which is fantastic when you're trying to stencil little parts and pieces. And I also almost forgot to ink these remaining 2 lemons, so let's go ahead and do that. You'll notice under one of the lemons on each card, it has a lighter spot, and then on the other lemon, it's going to have a darker spot. So I've just kind of alternated what the little spots back behind, or the layering back behind the lemon. For the leaves, we're going to use 3 leaves per card, and I'm inking this up with Fairway and Field inks. I went with a different green color combination so that the green would really pop off of the background. Until we take it to the background, I don't think you can really tell the difference between those 2 inks, but it is really noticeable once you get it on. The color combination we used for the background I would call almost a limey type of green. It isn't lime per se, but when you put these greens on top of it, these are very grass green looking colors. Fairway and Field definitely say, you know, kind of what the colors are here. I am using the small round detail blending brush to add the Field ink, the darker area. And if I don't get a super good blend on a couple of them, I felt like I didn't get the nicest blend, I'll go in with my small size blending brush and the Fairway ink and kind of fix any of that. But again, a lot of the imperfections will smooth out as the ink dries and is absorbed into the cardstock. For the stem, I'm going to use the Field ink and ink up the stems with that same dark color that I've used for the leaves. So we have just a couple of those, and I'll do that really fast. You can see I kept the green on one side of my stencil mat and the yellow on the other. In the center of my flowers, I just took what was left over on my little round blending brush and added a little yellow, and then took a lot of CITRINE ink and inked up the center of my small flowers. Now that I have my pieces, let's go ahead and put together one of the cards. I tend to like to put one together all the way first to make sure I like the design, and then I go ahead and mass produce the rest. It would be the same kind of system no matter how many cards you want to make. Now, the only thing about flipping one of the lemons upside down to layer back behind is they're not going to be exactly the same. So I did use my scissors to kind of trim anything that maybe sticks out from the side. I'm using a little tape runner here. This is the Simon Says Stamp tape runner to adhere one lemon to the other. You can use any of your favorite adhesive. And then I'm so super excited. Simon Says Stamp has come out with their own foam adhesive squares in both low profile and a little bit higher or more standard profile. I'm going to use the standard profile foam adhesive squares. You guys probably know this already if you've been here for a while, but I use foam adhesive squares on almost every single card I create. I love them so very much. So I am going to pop my 2 lemons in place. I don't want to put foam adhesive squares under the area where one lemon overlaps the other. And before I attach that, I realized that I do want to put some stamp some sentiments, pardon me, on the background, and it would probably be good to do this before we put too many more things with foam adhesive on the card. Now, all of my cards are going to feature different greetings. So this is the birthday greeting card, and I am using wishing the happiest of days to a wonderful person. This is from the Tiny Words Encouragement stamp set from Simon Says Stamp. This has been out a while. The Tiny Words stamp sets from Simon are some of my most often used and loved. After we've stamped that, the happy birthday, this is from a new stamp set from Simon Says Stamp from the Dream Big release called Big and Bold. We're going to pop that underneath the lemons, kind of give it a nice little base to sit on. And then I want to stamp another phrase right underneath that. And that's going to actually be from the Tiny Words birthday. But all the rest of the greetings for all the rest of the cards are from Tiny Words Encouragement. So I'm gluing my leaves to my stem here. And again, because this is what I call in quilting, they call it a tester block. Any of you quilters probably know that, where you create one quilt block to make sure it all goes together well, and then you go ahead and do all of, like mass produce your blocks for your quilt. I kind of take that same approach in card making when I'm mass producing cards. I put together one so that I have a very clear idea of what goes where I need to stamp things, where I need to adhere things, etc. And then I will create the rest. So for this one, it was really a test of where do the greetings go? How does the little leaves look best? Where do I want to put that extra little leaf and all of that? And I really, really played around with the extra leaf and the extra flower, trying to figure out the perfect spot. And I put a foam adhesive square on the back of the flower, and that ended up really not working. So keep in mind that I pulled that off for the finished card. But that's why I call this my tester card. Even though it's a card that I'm going to use, it allows me that time to figure out what's going to work. So now I do need to stamp that remaining sentiment. And again, this is from Tiny Words Birthday. And this is Better Late Than Never, which makes this a belated birthday card. I thought the lemons with a belated birthday message was really fun. And I like all of the sentiments on here. And I purposely went with black. I know I talk about this a lot in my card videos. I don't think I've mentioned it in a while, but a lot of times I don't go with black ink. For this card, I felt like the black would really be striking with the colors of the design, and I'm really glad I did. I'm glad I did it for the smaller phrases as well as the bold phrases. So now I'm going to stamp all three sentiments from the Big and Bold stamp set that I want to use, and I'm using VersaFine ONYX black ink. I have never stamped these before, so often when you're stamping a new stamp image, it may take a couple of times to get a really good impression. These are big and bold. It's a lot of surface area. So I stamped mine 3 times. I'm thinking in the future it won't require that many times. However, the Misty makes stamping those in the exact right place every time perfect. Now, another brand new product from this release is the Low Tack Tape. If you guys love to tape down your dies for die cutting, this is a fantastic product. I love it. So you're going to see that I'm going to take the coordinating dies for the Big and Bold stamp set and tape them around the stamped greetings. And then I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. So I'm using a little piece on each. Once I've run it through the machine, I can save these and use them several times before they lose their stickiness and I need to get a new piece. That's kind of what I do when I use Post-it tape or anything like that, but I was super excited to see Simon come out with some low tack tape. Worked perfectly. I've got my die cut greetings. I'm going to put them with each of the coordinating designs, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish my tester card by placing foam adhesive squares on the back of Happy Birthday. Now, right at the top of Happy Birthday, I'm not going to put my foam adhesive all the way up at the top. That's going to allow me to have like a little lip that I can layer over the lemons. And it really does give the lemons something to sit on so they're not just kind of floating out on that background. ties it all together. Love this so much. And then I do think the extra little leaf and flower that we're going to adhere finishes this off perfectly. I'm going to take a little liquid adhesive and glue that remaining leaf and flower down. I want to make sure that the flower petal isn't covering up too much of the greeting. A little overlap is okay, but I don't want it to completely cover it up. Still playing around with it. It literally took me so long to mess around with one leaf and one flower. Can I get a hands up for anyone else who sometimes struggles with where to put the things? You have a vision and then you're not sure if it's going to work. I should have just left it where I originally thought. Once I was done with that, I did take some crystal lacquer. You could also use like glossy accents or Nouveau crystal drops and place that in the center of my flower. I flipped the panel over and trimmed off any of the leaves or anything hanging off the edge. And there is my panel. I absolutely love it. The stenciling is so much fun. I love a custom stenciled background as you can make it match anything. And then the fading around the edges is nice as well because you don't have to mat the card on or the card panel on anything else. It's just a single background. Let's go ahead and stamp our remaining backgrounds. So now that I have a really good idea of kind of how the card's going to come together, I can stamp my sentiments and I don't even have to worry about it because they're all very similar. I kind of used the lines of the stenciling to help me line up my greetings. And this is going to be a thank you card that's going to say there is no one quite like you. Thank you, you are special to me. The thinking of you card is going to be sending thoughts and smiles your way. Thinking of you, I'm here for you. So all three very different occasions or themes, but all the exact same design. And this would work for any greeting. Here are some of the other greetings in the big and bold stamp set that you could use. Hi. The hi is kind of too small for this design, I think. I like the 2 words, but there's love you, get well soon, miss you, congrats. The congrats is 1 word, but it's nice and long, so I think that would look great. Or any other greeting stamp set that you already have in your stash. Let's go ahead and add the rest of these lemon zest dies from Simon. And build all of the little components. I did speed up the video quite a bit here since we're just going to simply be mass producing the rest of these. So the new products used in this is the layering stencil set, the lemon zest dies, the big and bold stamps with coordinating dies, the low tack tape, and the new foam adhesive squares. So many good products from this release. I am so excited to play with all of them. If there's anything from the release that you would particularly like to see used in an upcoming video, drop me a note in the description below and we will see what we can do. I'm going to make sure that I let the crystal lacquer sit and completely dry before I try stacking these one on top of another. And that little piece there that you see trimmed off, that is that second lemon that I am just making sure that there's no funny things sticking out. There is a layering piece in the lemon zest die set. I actually opted not to use it for my lemons. I kind of liked them without, but that is another option if that's something you would like to do. And again, I'm trying to keep the foam adhesive away from the very tippy top of my die cut big and bold sentiment so that I can layer that over the lemons just a little bit. To secure the leaves even more to that branch, when I flip it over, you'll notice that I take my foam adhesive square and I place it right over where the branch, or the stem, I guess I should say, attaches to the leaves. And there is our third background. I'm going to attach all three to white top fold card bases from Simon Says Stamp, and then I will finish each card with a scattering of some white hearts. These white hearts are from Lucy's Little Things. I'm going to put one down at the very bottom underneath my greetings, a couple there right above the lemons, and then a final one up in that top left corner. I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining cards. An embellishment wand makes picking up all of these little parts and pieces so easy. And the hearts are a great color that don't detract or take away from the design of the card. Instead, they add just the perfect little finishing touch. I'm going to go ahead and pick these up. I should have put them in my triangle tray. It would have been a lot quicker and easier. And that is it. Thank you so much for joining me today for these easy peasy lemon squeezy cards featuring brand new stamps, dies, and stencils from the Simon Says Stamp Dream Big release. The supplies I use to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here is another video featuring Simon Says Stamp products that you might be interested in. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Patreon members. If you would like to become a member of Patreon, please click the link in the description below. We would love to have you over there as part of our community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new card making video. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.